What's up, everybody? Noble Comics here. With the start of our newest Tournament of Power, we have Apocalypse versus Doomsday as our first round. We're going to go over each character's powers, skills, feats, abilities, and ultimately who would win if they were to fight in the ring. Now, if you're new to the channel, I do these tournaments where every Saturday I do this versus battle, and then you all get to go vote on who you think would win in the communities page, and whoever you win advances in the bracket, and you will ultimately decide the winner. And this is the start, our very first match, Doomsday versus Apocalypse. So let's get right into it, and I'll start with Apocalypse. Now, Apocalypse is one of the oldest mutants on Earth, as well as being one of the most powerful. And really, as far as mutants go, he is pretty much all-powerful. He has so many different abilities at his disposal. I could spend this entire video just going through those, but to be brief, he has telekinetic and psychic abilities, very powerful energy projection abilities, of course, super strength, teleportation, and things like that, but the main thing is that he has full molecular control over his body so that he can grow and stretch, increasing his strength and durability at will. He can morph his body to dodge attacks, growing and stretching like Mr. Fantastic, and he can transform part of his body, again, to help him attack, like turning his hand into a giant hammer, turning his hand into a laser gun to shoot a giant beam. He pretty much has full customization over his body. He also wears celestial armor, like the actual Celestials. He has this celestial technology, which increases his durability greatly. And talking about durability, he does have a healing factor. He can resurrect himself from the dead, and has taken full-blown attacks from all the X-Men and the Inhumans at once. All this to say he has many abilities. Again, pretty much omnipotent. He pretty much can do anything. Again, grow, stretch, super strength, super speed, super durability, healing factor, telekinesis, telepathy, psionic attacks, molecule manipulation. The list really does just go on and on and on and on. But how does he actually use this in combat against some other people? Well, he has had some notable fights. Again, a lot of fights against the X-Men. He is primarily an X-Men villain, but he's taken full-blown blasts from the eye lasers of Cyclops. He has redirected a full psychic attack from Jean Grey, which is incredibly impressive, and again has withstood the attacks of all the X-Men at once. Even if they were able to destroy his body, again, his healing factor is so strong that if like even a drop of blood remains, he would reform and would come back. He's also tangled with the Hulk before. Famously, he is restraining the Hulk and turns them into one of his horsemen of the Apocalypse. It is worth noting that this Hulk is a bannerless Hulk. The two have been split, so he doesn't get stronger the angrier he gets, but he's also not as weak as like a typical Savage Hulk. He's somewhere in the middle. Regardless, it is very impressive to be physically strong enough to restrain the Hulk and be able to essentially possess him. He's also notably fought a young Thor. This was before Thor had Mjolnir, but of course he's still extremely powerful and had his enchanted axe Jarnbjorn. And the fight there, he is absolutely manhandling Thor. I mean, cracking this dude so hard that it's like his head's about to fly off his shoulders. He was absolutely dominating him. Though, I will say, his celestial armor was pierced by Jarnbjorn, but that's nothing crazy. We've seen Thor pierce Celestials before. We've seen other people, like, I think Invisible Woman has pierced a Celestial before. We've seen this happen, so it's not like the armor's literally indestructible. But he was able to be damaged by this version of Thor. Now, I will say that this version of Thor is not as powerful as normal Thor, so this isn't a direct scale to him necessarily. Though in the Secret Wars storyline from 2015, we did see Apocalypse fighting multiple Thor at once. Now, again, it is tough to say if any one of these Thor are as powerful as like 616 Thor. We really don't know, but he was manhandling multiple Thors at one time. So Apocalypse is certainly formidable, again, fighting all the X-Men, the Inhumans, fighting and restraining the Hulk, fighting and defeating different versions of Thor, having extreme durability from celestial armor, and extreme versatility in his abilities, from being able to grow, stretch, physically make himself stronger and more durable through his molecular manipulation, shooting lasers, mental attacks, everything like that. The dude is stacked. Though I will say there are some inconsistencies with his character. I think in more recent years, post like Age of Apocalypse, he is treated as more of a punching bag character. One notable thing here is we see in one comic Black Bolt whispers, and it completely annihilates Apocalypse just with a whisper. And for reference, a whisper was able to do heavy damage to a World War Hulk, probably would have KO'd a typical Hulk. So it's not like it's a weak attack, but this whisper was enough to just obliterate Apocalypse, versus in the past we've seen Apocalypse take a full-blown scream from Black Bolt, which we've seen people like Thanos do also. So that's a little inconsistent. And again, especially when you look back at Age of Apocalypse, where they state in that book that Apocalypse has killed a Celestial, which is like a universe-level being, if not higher than that. Celestials are extremely powerful, and we don't get any details on it, but we hear that he has killed one, but then on the other page we have Black Bolt's whisper wiping him out. But hey, that's comic books for you, right? Not everything is super consistent, but that should not take away from the fact that he has gone toe-to-toe with very powerful people, right? Thor, Hulk, High Evolutionary, Inhumans, X-Men. Definitely a powerhouse, to say the very least. And then we jump over to Doomsday, talk about a powerhouse. And look, everybody knows Doomsday. His most famous thing that he's ever done, of course, is kill Superman in the Death of Superman comic. And that feat alone really should speak for itself, but that's not all that he has going for him. Doomsday has fought and defeated multiple members of the Justice League, again, including Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Shazam, Martian Manhunter, and many more. He's fought and defeated Darkseid. He's tanked Darkseid's Omega Beams, which is insanely powerful. And again, has taken beatings from people like Superman and Wonder Woman like it's nothing. Because, you know, what is this character? What is Doomsday? Well, essentially, he's just this unkillable monster, right? He has insane strength and durability and adaptability. That's his main thing. Is if you're fighting him with heat vision, he will grow to adapt to no longer be harmed by heat vision. And that pretty much goes for anything else. While you're fighting him, the longer the fight goes on, his adaptive nature gives him the advantage to resist, counter, and overcome whatever it is that you're doing to him. And if you do manage to kill him, he will come back to life and he will not be able to be killed by the same thing twice. He also has the ability to adapt to the weaknesses of his opponent. For example, when he's fighting an absolutely crushing Martian Manhunter, he developed the ability to breathe fire, which is, of course, Martian Manhunter's weakness, and so absolutely obliterated him there. During one fight with Superman, there was a giant detonation of, they say, like 1 million nuclear bombs going off, and Doomsday just hops back up after that. He's been shown to be fast enough to fight and defeat the Flash, along with, again, other speedsters like Superman. He's pretty much power personified, and not only that, but he is this being that just can't be defeated, because no matter what you're doing to him, he's going to adapt. He's going to get stronger. He's going to resist any of your techniques or anything you're using against him. And if you do manage to defeat him, he will come back stronger. That said, it's not like he has not been defeated in the comics before. Obviously, Superman killed him and he came back. I think Wonder Woman has killed him before and he's come back. Darkseid has done some big damage to him as well. But if you're hearing these names I'm saying, I'm talking about like the top 0.1% that DC has to offer are the ones who can actually harm him and potentially defeat him. And again, like Apocalypse, he's had some low showings before, some embarrassing moments caught on tape. But for the most part, he has been an absolute powerhouse and has a few incarnations over the years from Rebirth, New 52, and some other more one-off things where he's consistently incredibly powerful. He's tanked literally thousands of blows from Superman, hitting him at supersonic speeds, and proceeded to absolutely wreck the guy. I mean, what more is there to say about this character? He's actually quite simple compared to Apocalypse, who's quite complicated. But he is very simple, but effective. So what would happen if these two actually fight? They meet in the arena, they recognize each other as enemies, and they are off to the races to beat the crap out of each other. What does that actually look like? Well, let's do some stat comparisons first and kind of see what we come up with. You know, when it comes to strength, I'd say Doomsday has the advantage. He clearly is on the same strength level, if not more than someone like Superman. Whereas with Apocalypse, we do see him restrain people like the Hulk, but again, this wasn't a full-powered Hulk. and we haven't seen anything from him like that. Speed-wise, I think they're both incredibly fast. I think Apocalypse being able to keep up with someone like Thor probably doesn't scale as high, though, as Doomsday, keeping up with people like the Flash, so Doomsday probably gets a speed advantage there. Durability-wise, I think that's actually kind of close. Obviously, Doomsday being able to adapt and get stronger over time. He also has an insane healing factor. He's also just incredibly durable, again, taking thousands of punches from Superman. Incredibly durable. Apocalypse, though, also has an insane healing factor. He can also manipulate his body to become more durable, and he has celestial armor. And I wonder how powerful celestial armor would be to somebody like Superman, how, easily that could be cracked. Regardless, it is incredibly durable. So I'd say statically blow to blow, it's probably Doomsday, but given the versatility of Apocalypse, he's definitely right there with him. Intelligence-wise, obviously Apocalypse is a genius. Doomsday is a kind of a mindless beast, so he wins there. Skill-wise, Apocalypse has more skill because, again, Doomsday has the whole rampaging beast thing going for him. And versatility-wise, Apocalypse has a great advantage, which will help him in this fight specifically. Now, I know Doomsday can come back from the dead, and so can Apocalypse, but we're not going to do an infinite fight here. If the character dies, they're done. I don't care if they can come back from it for a second fight. If they lose the fight, then they're done. And I know Doomsday doesn't have to lose before he can adapt. He'll adapt during the fight, but Apocalypse has so much at his disposal that I think that won't be a big problem because he has so many different ways that he can attack Doomsday that his adaptability maybe won't be as effective or as useful in this fight. So the question really comes down to, can Apocalypse put Doomsday down? Because I think if he's on the same power level, then his versatility wins it for him, right? But if he's not on the same power level, then that opens up the gap for Doomsday. Because that's really Doomsday's win condition, is just be more powerful. Be stronger, be faster, be more durable, to where the advantages of your opponent don't matter. Whereas the win condition for Apocalypse is use your insane versatility to overcome, overpower, and defeat Doomsday. The only problem is everything that Apocalypse has going for him, Doomsday has seen before. When it comes to psychic attacks, growing and stretching, I mean, Martian Manhunter has all that, and Martian Manhunter got crushed. When it comes to super strength and speed that Apocalypse has, well, Superman had that too, probably in greater spades, and he got crushed. When it comes to lasers and stuff like that, like everybody on the Justice League has that, and they all got crushed. I mean, I'm willing to bet Apocalypse cannot shoot a laser as powerful as Darkseid's Omega Beams, right? And so if you kind of get where I'm going here, I think that Doomsday definitely has the advantage. And I think one thing here that could maybe sum it up is that Apocalypse is primarily an X-Men villain, and Doomsday is a Justice League villain, right? And the X-Men just scale nowhere close. And I know, again, Apocalypse has fought more powerful people before, like Thor, like the Hulk, I get that. But I don't think he's on the same level as, like, Superman, right? I think he is below that. He has so many abilities at his disposal that he has some, like, potential hacks and stuff like that that could keep him in the fight longer. But at the end of the day, I think that he probably gets manhandled and probably gets crushed and doesn't have enough at his disposal to put Doomsday down. And again, the longer the fight goes on, the longer he's prolonging the fight, Doomsday is just getting stronger and stronger until eventually there'll be nowhere left to run and Doomsday will win. So at the end of the day, I do think that Doomsday is just too powerful, even though he is much simpler of a character that doesn't seem to impede him. Again, we've seen him crush multiple members of the Justice League who have way more going for them, theoretically, than Doomsday, but they still lost, and I think the same will happen to Apocalypse. But those are just my thoughts. Be sure to go vote in the communities tab to decide who you want to win to move them forward in the bracket, and be sure to subscribe if you've made it this far. I would appreciate it. Other than that, let me know what you thought of this fight in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.